Hey guys, it's Gaijin Hunter, and today we got our second or first official look at Monster Hunter Wilds and a bunch of new news. Unfortunately for me, the trailer didn't quite hit with me the first time I saw it, but all the information that they've been giving on different, like the PlayStation blog, the website, and all the other stuff really helped explain a lot to me, and now I'm totally on board. So I want to go over sort of the trailer and my sort of breakdown of it, but also all the different news that they've been adding to the websites and the blogs, because there's actually some information that they put on the PlayStation blog that was not in the English version, which I thought was really interesting. I don't know whether or not they just didn't have time, it was a version control management issue or what, but we're going to dig into all that and also even get into some speculation. So sit back and let's go through the trailer. I'm not going to play it all the way through one time since I'm probably already looping it as I talk. But we're going to go through and we're going to do a breakdown, and then I'm going to give you all the news and all the details as I understand it. But it does feel like Sony asked them to slap something together at the last minute, because they did just announce a few hours ago, at least as of recording this, that they're going to have a brand new promotional video coming at the Summer Game Fest in a week. And they're going to be showing off a brand new monster, I'm guessing the flagship monster, and they're going to have Togeda-san, the director, and Fujioka-san, the executive and creative behind it, on stage to present. So that definitely tells me I think they were planning big for that. So if that was the idea, that they just slapped together something for the state of play, then it would totally make sense, because again, I'm probably the only one here, but this trailer I felt didn't do a very good job at communicating all the stuff that I found out after I watched the trailer. So without further ado, let's jump in. Okay, not even a few frames into the trailer, I'm already going to pause it, but sand ships, come on man. There was a reason why on Japanese Twitter, Gemma and Alma were trending. I think people are excited, and I am as well, that the prospect that we might get another huge boss battle in the sands. Darren Moran was one of my favorite fights. I love these set pieces things, and this just gives me total Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate vibes, and you're going to see all throughout my commentary here. I think this is a love letter to Monster Hunter 4 fans, while also doing something very new as well, so love the ship. Hi. That's right, you just heard a Palico. So the Palicos have always been able to speak English / whatever language that the hunters use, but we've never heard them voice acted speaking. So I thought this was seriously cute. Here's a small clip of what the cat sounds like in Japanese versus English. I think both do a great job, and I love the little quirky, cute vibe that I'm getting.
This is gonna be great! One of them's got big spikes on its back. Ganbaro!
Ganbaro! I just love the Japanese voice. There's something about it. I'm really curious who's voice acting. If it's Mao who did Naviru or whoever it might be, but adorable. I'll definitely be playing this with Japanese voices on just for the feline.
As soon as we find a good spot, we can get things set up and ready to go.
My gosh, Capcom! Also, where is Alma looking? Can't say I blame her, but what this is Gemma. It's spelled Gemma, but in Japanese it's Gemma, so I'm going to assume that that's going to be the pronunciation in English as well. And so this they're just introducing as a smithy with the research commission that'll take care of your weapon and armor crafting needs. Getting some massive Devil May Cry vibes here. I love it. And I'm going to go off on a limb and just say I think this is Little Miss Forge from Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. I think she's grown up now. And I guess I may as well just talk about this now instead of doing like a speculation corner. But look, she's got the sewn doll that we know is from official character art from Sophia, the Guildmarm, with the young cuckoo on her thing. She's wearing the exact same jacket from the Caravaneer with the Monster Hunter 4 logo on the back and everything. She's got a same sort of top and look as Little Miss Forge on the upper left here, we can see, with the goggles and everything. She's got the same 5 braids of hair coming down in the back. Yeah, I mean, with the addition of having Aiden, the ace cadet in Monster Hunter Iceborne, and also acknowledging his leader, Julius, being back home and worrying about him. And I'll just say, if it's not her, they did a heck of a good job of making this a literal love letter to Monster Hunter 4 fans, because her design is freaking awesome.
And then we can get started.
I swear to God, I know that voice. I just can't quite place it, but nice voice. This is Alma. She's going to be our new handler. She looks very in the field, studious. She's got this nice little like hair wrap in her hair. She's giving me almost like girlfriend reviews, like Shelby vibes, like her sister or something. Always a good thing. But yeah, this is our new handler, and I love the improvements that they have on the facial modeling and just the animations and everything. Looks really good.
This is gonna be great.
You bet.
And yes, you heard that right. The hunter, this is going to be the first time that they are going to be fully voiced as well. So that means that they probably went through and did the game with at least 2 voices for the different types of hunters. But I'm really interested to see if we get any additional choices, like if we can customize it or something like that. But that's going to be interesting to have fully voiced audio now for all the interactions, including both our Palico and hunter. I'm down.
I hope we find them soon.
Okay, so it's pretty obvious here. They're hinting that they're probably looking for this kid's family or something dear to him. We find them soon makes me think that maybe he's looking for his parents. So his name is Nata, or Nata, and I'm going to put on my speculation hat again and think that he could be the son of the Ace Gunner. If I'm correct that this is the Ace Hunters, that could be one way they're doing it. Or maybe I'm just completely wrong, and it's just a mysterious kid that we don't know anything about. Either way, we know that they're venturing into a part called the Forbidden Lands, not to be confused with the Forbidden Area that Shigado was in Canther in Monster Hunter 4, but it's using the same wording, which is interesting, at least in Japanese. But this is an area that has never been explored, so you're going to have to set up your base camp here and there. Sounds very much like you're going to be moving around like a caravan. So I don't know the English name because for some reason they didn't translate this part of the official PlayStation blog that was written by Capcom. But they basically confirmed that all the locales, it looks like it's not going to be like open world. It'll probably be like a collection of huge fields that are kind of like semi-open worlds. In the fact that they said that if you run into a large monster, you can begin your quest right there and then, which we'll see later in this trailer. But they did confirm that there's basically 3 states that a world can be in, and it will dynamically, naturally change during your time out in the field. So this is the more rich and abundant phase where lots of monsters are out and roaming. Then you've got the barren state in which a few monsters are out, but everything's supposed to be like an ecology that's like living and breathing with its own AI. So herd mentality, separate sort of group mechanics is all stuff they're baking into the AI this time to make sure that not only the environment is naturally changing as you're in there, but also the behavior of all the monsters in there, which potentially is very cool. I personally care more about the one-on-one between a large monster, but I'm not going to write it off. This seems like it's going to be cool, especially if this open world sort of traversal part is not actually part of a hunt, but it's where you're at in between hunts to find monsters to hunt. That can make sense. So the first locale that they're showing off is called the Windward Plains. This is going to be a place that has obviously deserts, swaying grasslands, twisting rock formations, and other natural stuff. And we do get a look at the 3 different states that it can be in. The sort of more bountiful, flashy, colorful state, the more barren sandstorm state, and then there's a 3rd state. They mentioned 3 in the Japanese blog, but only 2 on the website. But they are considering the events that could happen. For this one, it's the thunderstorm inside the sandstorm. There are events that can naturally occur as well, and all the AI of all the different herds of animals are going to change during that. One thing worth pointing out here is we notice that our handler, Alma, is there with us, which I think is nice, and we also have our Palico talking with her. So I guess, you know, if we're going to have like 3 characters all talking and reacting to stuff, it's going to feel a lot more, not cinematic, but more, not even immersive, I don't know what to call it, but it's going to be more interesting than I think we've had in them before, where it's just one character or 2 talking at you. We'll actually get some, you know, hopefully some good cat puns and some other stuff like that, but I am looking forward to that. And of course, these are the mounts which they've been showing off a lot. These things, I mean, they kind of act like Palamutes, right? Like they're always there, they can run and catch you. They can hold a second weapon, which we'll see in the trailer. And they did confirm on the Japanese blog post that you can have just one sub-weapon on your mount that you can change to, and it can be of the same weapon type. So You want to go out there with 2 charge blades, you go for it. It's just that the situations are going to change, so they're trying to give you an option. So being able to just call it over and then swap weapons while you're on it is a pretty cool conceit, and I think it definitely works better than just swapping your weapons on the fly, like in the middle of an attack. Like that would look very cartoonish and weird, and probably lead to really hard game balancing. So you'll just have to call over your mount and swap your weapon that way. In low-key, one of the features I really like about this mount is that you can open up your map. You can drop a pin and say, I want to go here, and then you can just ride it like a taxi. Like, it'll automatically go there because it has a superior sense of smell. And I like that because if it's not quick travel, you get to sort of just like hands off. You can watch and look at stuff. And then you can just, if you spot something or a monster that you want to fight, or something's coming that you've never seen before, you could probably like take over and drive manual to go see it. So I'm very interested to see the actual gameplay of this thing, but thinking how well they did the Palamute system, I could see this thing just being perfect. Okay, quick rewind. This is the cutest little puke bird or whatever it is I've ever seen. I will protect it with my life and probably hunt it for its materials. Yeah, and then we're just gonna see the Doshaguma. I think that's one of the new monsters that sort of looks like Gosarag in a way, but more of just an ugly alien-like beast. I'll be honest, I didn't really feel much. I mean, Fang Beast, sure, always nice to have a new one, but its face is really funky. Like, I didn't find it to be cute. And one of the things I like about the flagship monsters, not the flagship, but like, the new monsters, is when they're cute or weird looking, and this one just looked a little ugly. I don't know. We see the smaller ones get creamed by the sandstorm, and then the hunter getting into a fight with the large monster. I believe they did call it a large monster, so it's not a medium monster like we were sort of wondering. Here we get to see the slinger in action, so you're going to be able to use a more compact version of it to interact with the environment or grab items while you're riding on your mount. And of course, running and getting away from all the trouble that is happening. I do kind of like that they're announcing that a hunt is started. Like, you have just initiated a hunt out in the wild. You found a large monster, you're now cornered, or you're in an arena with it, and it says, now commencing the hunt by order of the guild. A little corny, but hey, I don't mind it. But definitely like that. And this is what I really love about Monster Hunter, is the 1 versus 1 or the 4 players versus 1. So I kind of wish that this was more the focus of the trailer, and not the environments and herds, because to me that's really great set dressing, but it's not the focus that I want. But that's just a personal thing, but I'm sure we're going to see some really cool moments in the next promotional video. In here we got to see some gameplay of a second new entry-level monster called the Chatacabra, sort of similar to the Chatacabra. So this is it's been a long time since we had new amphibians, so I'm very happy to see that. What it does is it licks its forearms to apply sort of like a sticky substance, I guess, and allows them to sort of coat it in rocks and stuff like that, so they can punch you and do lots of damage. It's got kind of like a Devil Joe like sort of jaw thing going on there, but I'll be honest, I wasn't horribly impressed with the gameplay with the Chatacabra. I don't find it necessarily cute. Again, it's a really weird thing to say cute monsters, but there's just something cute about the design of entry and mid-level monsters in new Monster Hunter games that I'm just not seeing here, so I think they need to sell me a little bit more on it. It feels a little bit like a downgrade from a Tetranodon, who is just really big and roly-poly. But the attacks and the sort of the battle with it do look very fun. And I love the huff and puff and getting upset and charging at you. I guess there's interactions with monsters around the arena. Again, herd stuff is not... They'll have to sell me on that when they show me the gameplay. But it definitely certainly looks dynamic, like they were saying they were aiming for. Okay, this seems to be the main thing, and I don't know why they didn't make this a more understandable feature in this trailer. But it seems this game is featuring the 14 weapons from the previous games. I'm going to be really disappointed if they don't introduce at least one new more weapon. But the way they're trying to sell it is saying that all the weapons will now have a new thing called Focus Mode. Now, to understand why Focus Mode appears like it's going to be a big deal, and a real integral part to what gives this game its identity, is something that they didn't translate in the English blog post, but they did for Japanese, which I found interesting, which is talking about a new system that they're doing called wounding. So basically, as it describes, is if you hit a certain part of, not a certain, but like if you hit the same spot on a monster several times, like consecutively, over and over again, it will gradually become, it'll go through stages, probably like bruised, broken, and then it becomes like an actual wound. And during this time, these scout flies will gather around it and sort of sparkle red so that you know, and it's a temporary weak spot that you can exploit to do some really big damage moves. The whole point of this also is the focus mode. So what it does, it seems like it locks you in, like it's a very, zooms in, makes it easier to aim to hit weak spots if you're shooting, I guess, or aiming, but also opens up a new suite of different attacks and moves that you can do for each weapon. For example, they say that, there's some that if you hit a wound or a weak spot, like a natural weak spot for the monster, you'll be able to do, a new type of attack or combo to do some more damage. For some weapons, you can actually do like a parry. If you attack at the same time as the monster, you can deflect them and do damage. And they said that there's even, these events which you saw here, which is if you have a guard and you do it at the same time of a certain attack, you'll get in sort of like that, probably button mash, like quick time event where you and the monster are pushing up against each other to see who wins. Very curious to see if that's just going to be a button mash or how that's going to work. But that's the whole thing. This focus mode is supposed to open up new moves and strategies for all 14 weapons. Maybe this is their excuse to not have a new weapon because they're adding in these new aspects of these other weapons. And at face value, I like this because I think adding in more natural moves that you can do at any time will just make the game too mechanically complex. So this could be a way to do a bunch of new, to really play into the identity of these weapons and really help them stand out by having very specific moves and abilities that you can do during focus mode. Where I'm not quite sold on it yet, and I really want to see it, is how this works in a hectic environment, because they talk so much about herd mentality, all the other environmental stuff going on. So if you're locking in and you're focusing in a special stance that you can do, like counters and parries and stuff like that, like how is that going to work if you've got monsters to your left and right, like swinging at you? I don't know. How does this work when you have 4 players? Like when you're having this sort of like one-on-one, I think it works really good if the monster is facing you. But what happens if you go into focus mode and you're staring at the butt of a monster? Another thing that's a little weird is they do mention on the websites that the focus mode will help. When you go into focus mode, it makes it much easier to gauge the distance between you and the monster. Makes it easier to hit their weak spots and know where their weak spots are. So they said that it's a way that they can be dynamic in a way that appeals to a wide range of different players. The way they word it, at least in English, makes it sound like it's not an easy mode, but I guess it's another option that players can do if they want to have a more intimate one-on-one slugfest against the monsters. So again, I'm really hoping that they explain the system more, because it does seem like it's going to be a very big deal. But that's sort of what we're looking at here in the trailer. And then we have this guy who's giving you the mission to join the expedition, and it seems very obvious that he's going to have a major role to play. And looking at his character model and the way he has got that little hair curl going down and just the aging, I would say that my guess is that this could be the Ace Lancer from Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. It would make total sense that all the different characters from Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate have grown up and they're in different roles and positions. It would also make sense, that he would be overseeing an expedition to go rescue, let's say, the Ace Gunner. Maybe he's got her son. I could just be completely wrong on all this, but hey, afford me the tinfoil hat. That's part of the fun of, getting early trailers and looks at games, right? And finally, there is going to be a costume that you can get for your Palico if you have World or Iceborne, which are always on sale, especially on PC, so definitely check that out. And now I'll just give you my final comments. I'm not doing a super deep dive on each of the frames of this, but this was just sort of my overview of all the stuff I learned from the websites. I don't know why they didn't talk about the wounding system, because it plays so much into, I think, the idea of the dynamic part of the battles, the reason for the focus mode to begin with. And I definitely like it. It's a lot better than just having like a clutch claw where you grab on and it's always going to be like the face or the leg. Like you actually have to aim now to hit those body parts to make them a weak spot, right? And it seems that the monsters will have their natural weak spots anyways. So this could be a new way to reward players if they have a weapon or a play style in which maybe they're not always going for the head. because that's kind of been a problem with the franchise for a while, is that you basically always want to go for the head. And so it'll be nice to finally change that up. I'm also hoping that creating a weak spot on like their tail or their legs or something like that will help it make it easier to break those parts for rewards. That could also be incredibly satisfying. Me and Rurikhan both love the part breaker skill, so that seems like it could be pretty OP this time around if it has anything to do with these weaknesses. I'm not personally, I think it's cool, the whole like living, breathing environment and all the AI and everything's dynamic and shifting. I think that's cool. Like, don't get me wrong, and I'm sure they will sell me on it. I just wish we would have saw a little bit more of the 1 versus 1, see some sort of wyvern or something more akin to what we would come to expect from a Monster Hunter. But again, they're showing a brand new trailer in a week, so I think this was kind of scrapped together at the last minute because it's not really cohesive. It doesn't really tell the full story, but they did update the website, so go check that out in the language that you're going to play the game. Read all the articles, lots of cool information, and we're going to have a lot to talk about next week when we finally get, I would say, a proper trailer. I think this was more of a sneak peek again. Anyways, my initial reaction, I was kind of scratching my head, but as I looked into it more, I'm totally sold. I'm very interested, and I can't wait to see what more they have to show for this game. Anyways, we'll see if my theories are correct about these being the Ace Hunters, but go ahead and let me know your theories and thoughts and feelings in the comments down below. What you thought about the trailer, what your hopes and wishes are, and hopefully we can have fun discussing and thinking about this kind of stuff, because it's still at least over half a year away. Like, it's not coming out till next year, so yeah, lots of fun time to geek out. I'll probably end up doing a Third Fleet podcast with Rurikhan both before the Summer Game Fest and after, because I think our impressions are going to change. But yeah, should be very interesting, so please subscribe to him if you want to see that podcast, or we're also on a lot of different podcast services. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed my recap. It's really nice to finally be able to talk about Monster Hunter after such a long period of not being able to. And yeah, exciting stuff. I gotta say, trailer, I will give it a B- rating, maybe a C+, only because I had no idea what I was looking at. And the whole idea that they're choosing the first world, the gray sort of washed out part, you know, during that event where the sandstorm happens, it doesn't leave the best first impression probably to players. But looking at it when it's nice and lush and vibrant and colorful, I have no concerns about that. Anyways, I'm rambling now. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and until next time, happy speculating.